Hey everybody, how is it going? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to do an update on XELA Technologies, NRX Pharmaceuticals, FUBO TV, and others on my watch list. Now, if you're new to my channel, I have been trading and investing for over 20 years, and in each video I will show you trades that I see setting up right now. So if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing so you don't miss any future trading and investing ideas. And also, if you would like to support the channel and become part of our Patreon community and see what we are buying and selling in real time for a measly $10 a month, that link is in the description. All right, well, I'm going to get right into these charts. There wasn't a whole lot cracking with my accounts today, so I'm just kind of going to do a little bit of an update video on some of the stocks I've been talking about over the last couple of days or couple of weeks. And the first one I want to start off with is XELA Technologies Incorporated, ticker symbol XELA. I'm going to start out with this one because it is looking the bullish out of most of them. And if I zoom in a little bit closer, you can see what I'm talking about. It had this huge pullback from about 550 or so all the way down to about 225. Then had that reactionary move back up to about 350. And now it is pulling back on light volume into these major moving averages, or I should say just into these moving averages. So, I mean, this is usually a pretty good point in a swing trade when you can make a low risk entry. And we can definitely see that these volume days when it's been pulling back has been well below the average of the last 50 days. So it's pulling back on light volume. When I looked at this stock earlier, it was near the highs of the day, and I thought it had a pretty good possibility of breaking out today, but it's pulled back just a little bit since then. I think the market got a little bit weak since I first saw it today. But, man, it's looking pretty good at the moment. And if we go to the 15-minute chart on XELA and back it up a little bit, you can definitely see this descending wedge or bullish flag formation, whatever you want to call it. Either way, those usually resolve to the upside, and XELA could be breaking out as I'm making this video. If it breaks through that trend line and holds it, that's going to be my signal to get in and hopefully catch the next move up, because if we back out here, you can definitely see that beautiful rounded bottom formation, and now it's making another bullish formation. And if it breaks out of this bullish flag, descending wedge, whatever you want to call it, I think there's a pretty strong possibility that the next move is going to be up. So I'll be keeping an eye on XELA either for the rest of the day today or in the AM for tomorrow, because I think this could resolve itself in the next day or so. Now, of course, if it breaks through this trend line and then immediately reverses back into this consolidation as a swing trader, I'll probably just take my small loss and either wait for a better entry or, just move on to the next stock. But the trend is looking pretty good in XELA. And actually, if we go to the weekly chart, looking at the weekly chart, we can see that it is still above that 8-period exponential moving average, that white line on the chart. So in my book, it is still in an uptrend. So when a stock is in an uptrend as a swing trader, what your job is to do is to buy the pullbacks. Now, your job is also to determine when to buy it, and that all depends on your trading. I like to wait for them to make that rounded bottom formation and then break out of it, either break completely through resistance at the top of that rounded bottom or resolve itself, after like a little bit of a pullback like XELA is making. But definitely nice looking chart for XELA at the moment, just waiting for that breakout. All right, the next one I want to talk about is NRX Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol NRXP. I actually day traded this one today, and it did not work out, unfortunately, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. And actually, the way the market has been lately, I don't know how it's been for you guys, but for me, it's been rather choppy. And in these choppy markets, it seems like the things that work with the highest degree of consistency is selling premiums. So I've been selling covered calls on all of my long positions, the stock that I want to hold for the long term. I usually don't sell covered calls, every single week or so on my long positions that I want, my long-term holds. But, when the market gets choppy like this, I usually do more of it because it's the only thing that works with a high degree of consistency. You just have to be careful once the market or once your stock really starts to trend again. It's going to get called away if you're, selling premium too close. I usually like to sell at a 30 delta or lower, so I try to sell quite a bit out of the money so they don't get called away, but there's always that possibility, but you can always buy them back. But I just wanted to make that note to you guys that in these choppy markets, if you have long positions and you can sell covered calls on them, I mean, they usually work the best in these type of markets. But anyway, getting back to NRXP, if I zoom in a little bit here, I was trying to I actually bought it when it came down to right around 1650. Let me go to the 15-minute chart here. I'll show you how it played out. It was right about here. Man, that chart doesn't look very good on the... I was trading it on the 1-minute chart, but when I was trading it on the 1-minute chart, it was... I swear to God, it was up a couple $100 at one point, but it didn't last very long. Actually, let me go to the minute chart so we can see it a little bit better here. You know, it came down to this support level that I had on the chart. It was crashing pretty hard, so I wanted to find a support level that wasn't too far away. And you know, I got in pretty quick, and I think when it bounced up to the this moving average right here is when I was up the most, but it just immediately rolled over, and surprisingly, the thing was a dead stick, you know, the whole day, unfortunately. So I took a small loss on that one. I guess I should have got out at the top, but of course, you know, you never know how high it's going to go. And the way that it had bounced up, I figured it was going to fill this gap right here for sure, and that's where I wanted to take my profit. But man, it did not make it. Actually, go back to the daily chart. And one more thing I want to say about NRXP. I don't know if you guys have been looking at a lot of charts lately, but when you see stocks that have been going up like this, having a huge move, and then they just kind of pull back and fade, a lot of them are making this type of pattern. I'm noticing it's kind of like a little bit of an S, and then once it makes a low just below that previous low, it usually has a pretty decent sized move up. And NRXP had a really big one. One of my Patreons was pointing this out when it was down here, and I lost track of it, but this thing had a move from, like, you know, under $14 all the way up to $20 just about in a couple of days. That would have been a huge move to catch. But I have been noticing this type of formation a lot lately, so keep your eyes open for this formation. After you see a stock that kind of goes crazy and then it kind of pulls back, and the trading days get really small, you know, the volatility kind of comes out of it. These things have been turning around and having big moves up. So if you go like to the let's go to the 15-minute chart, my favorite, and wait for it to make that bottoming formation. I mean, you might be able to catch one of these big runs, you know, and then once it starts to go parabolic like this, that is your cue to exit stage left, because probably all the booze is going to be gone out of that party. But let's go to the next one. And that next one is FUBO, and FUBO is up quite a bit today. It's up about 8.5% at the moment, but it was up well over 10% earlier in the day. It's pulling back, but it looks like it's finding some support. But if we zoom in a little bit, we can see how it was definitely being accumulated with this bottoming formation. If we go to that 15-minute chart, you know, I talked about how this right side of this rounded bottom was starting to get really tight, and apparently it was probably because people in the know knew that they were going to beat earnings, so they were buying the crap out of it on this very light pullback, and of course it exploded higher, and they're probably reaping the rewards. But there was no denying the accumulation in this pattern right here. Nice rounded bottom, carved out a nice bottom, and then exploded higher. So FUBO was looking really good, and it is holding this 21-period exponential moving average on the 15-minute chart. So this thing can start to round up again. I think FUBO might not be done just yet. I am not in this one, but if it makes a pretty decent entry point, it's a little extended right now, but if it makes another decent entry point, I might consider buying it, because it is certainly on the move up. The next one I want to talk about is GSAT. Go to that one. See, GSAT is looking perfect. You can see about this one is just a perfect looking rounding bottom. Had a little bit of a false breakdown, move right back up into that consolidation, and now it is breaking out. Of course, it is trying to get through this 50-period simple moving average, and of course, it has all of these resistance areas to get through as well, but it looks like it's trying to make a bottom. And if we go to that 15-minute chart, man, just a perfect looking rounded bottom. This thing is headed up right towards this resistance area. I would expect it to find some resistance and have a little bit of a pullback, but if it pulls back and you know, makes a higher low, I think GSAT could be moving higher, especially if it can stay above that 50-period simple moving average on that daily chart. I think if it can do that, that is going to show a lot of strength for Global Star Incorporated. But let's go back to this daily chart. I think if it can get beyond about a $1.70 or so, I mean, this thing could really be off to the races, because I don't think this resistance area is going to offer a whole lot as far as, you know, sellers. So this one I'm going to keep a close eye on. I think GSAT looks really good. Another one I want to talk about is MMLP. I talked about this one on my videos. Now, when the trading day first started, oil was getting mutilated, so I didn't expect to see a whole lot out of MMLP, but it's looking like it is breaking out today. And once I got that alert that it was starting to break out, I was kind of curious as what was going on because I wasn't keeping an eye on oil, and oil started to move higher. And if MMLP can hold above this 325 range, I think there's a great possibility this one could end up taking off. This has been under accumulation for many months and just itching to break above this resistance level right around 320 or so. And actually, if we go look at the USO, the USO is actually having a very strong day, but if you go to the minute chart and take a look at what happened earlier today, see, you had that pretty decent sized gap down, and then it was just kind of grinding away right around here when I lost sight of it. And then all of a sudden, boom, this thing just exploded higher, and it's having a very bullish day. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised if oil has a fantastic rest of the week, because this is a very strong reversal pattern in oil. Okay, let's go to the next one, which is Wish. I'll try to hurry along here so this doesn't take too long for you guys. Still watching Wish. Oh, Wish, it looks like it's breaking down. Let me go to the 15-minute chart on this one. Yep, it is definitely breaking down. That's why you want to wait for these breakouts above these resistance levels, because sometimes, you know, they just don't get past them and then they really fall apart. So just have to wait for Wish to grind around a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the end of the world, but it's probably not going to be breaking above, say, $11 a share or about $10.75 for at least a couple of days. I would imagine it's probably going to have to grind around a little bit. And if it does get closer to this resistance area in the next couple of days, that probably will be enough for it to break through. Usually once they touch it about 3, 4, 5 times, usually that next one will probably be the next breakout. So this one has had 3 decent looking, you could probably call this one, might want to call that 2. So it's had about 4 pretty hard bounces up against it. So I think the next one might be the one that actually takes off. So I'm still going to keep Wish on my wish list because I think it still has a strong possibility of breaking out. Next one I want to talk about is Open Door. Open Door I had on my list as well. And this one, of course, broke down and is bouncing off of that lower trend line again perfectly today. So as long as this thing continues to move sideways, I think Open Door could eventually have a nice breakout for us, because this is definitely going to be putting some more pressure on this resistance area, I would imagine. Unless we get a total breakdown in the market where it kind of drags everything down, I think Open should continue to kind of grind higher until it can blast through this resistance area. Call it right around 1550 or so. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.